What's going on, guys? This is Justin with Go Crazy Card Collecting. A couple videos ago, I showed you guys a book that I received. I've got it right here. It's called Backroads and Ballplayers, a collection of stories about famous and not so famous professional baseball players from rural Arkansas. And I've been reading through this thing, and man, what a treasure. This is awesome. If you guys don't know anything about Arkansas baseball history, it's pretty rich in its history. You know, it's not like New York, but there's a lot going on in Arkansas, and Hot Springs was the hotbed for spring training, and a lot of the biggest names in baseball history came through Hot Springs. And there were people that did camp in Hot Springs, and Roger Hornsby did a camp in Hot Springs and things like that. Anyway, so I've decided that I would love, as I go through this book, to kind of start a series to talk about the history of baseball through Arkansas. It's done in a way that, let's see if I can show you. It's done in a way that it's sectioned off into players. And so it starts with the deans, and it goes into Dr. Baseball and the Greenbrier Baseball School, which is really awesome. I've been reading through that, and I've ordered some cards from there. A lot of these players have gone on to be major leaguers, and I'm going to start a collection based off of this book. There's the Hot Springs and the camp. I will actually probably do a video at some point where I take you guys to Hot Springs, and there's something called a baseball trail there that has different checkpoints and a neat wall painted with a Jackie Robinson card on it and stuff. And I'm going to make a video of that. I'm excited about that. That's going to be really fun. I may take my kids to do that. There's John Franklin Sane. You guys know who that is. The Kells, which is who I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to start kind of bigger in Arkansas. Then there are just a bunch of things, like you get way down here. Elwyn Charles Rowe. I'll let you guys guess who that is. So anyway, we're going to start with the Kells. And the reason I wanted to start with the Kells is because when I first got started in this hobby, and I showed a buddy of mine, for some of you who don't know, and I don't know if I say it every video. I just think about it every video. So maybe I say it as well. But for some of you who don't know, I got really sparked on this, like this Aussie I got when I was a kid, and I was big through the 80s and 90s and the junk wax era, whether you call it that or not. That's what it was to me. And so, or at least what it is now to me. And then my mom gave me her binder from the 60s. She grew up in the 60s. I've got some cards up here that I've been going through that were hers that I will do videos about as well. But it really, really sparked things. And then through that, I had a card of a guy named Dick Hughes, and he was a pitcher for the Cardinals in 67, Sporting News Rookie of the Year. Anyway, when I got to go and visit him, the guy who set this all up for us brought his brother. And, I asked my buddy if I could talk about him on here. My buddy's name is Don Watts, and I'm a band director at a school called Perryville in Perryville, Arkansas. And Don was a longtime coach there and was a principal there. And so he's now running for school board, which is fantastic. But he set this up for us, and he shares my love. He's an obsessed with autographs, and it's awesome. He told me I would put my item under the stall and follow him into the bathroom and put my item under the stall to get their autograph. And so he is obsessed with autographs, and he has a ton of autographs. And so he set this up to meet Dick Hughes, and he brought his brother David, and David about a week ago passed away. But right after this meeting, Don had sent me a message and said, "Hey, my brother David wants to know if he can have your number." And I said, "Absolutely." And so he gave him my number, and David sent me a message, and he said, "I would love for you to come over to my house and see my autograph room, my card room." And I said, "This is fantastic. This is so much fun." And so I went to his house, and as soon as you walk in, and it was right there on the right. And it was like a little bitty office. and he just had, you know, like china cabinets with baseballs and cards. And my favorite thing about it, and it's kind of, you know, Don and David have kind of shaped my collecting a little bit, in that they just thought it was so fun to get autographs of anybody who put on a major league uniform. And even, I mean, even an Arkansas uniform, or played at a kind of a high level. And it wasn't just baseball. They wanted autographs of anyone and everyone that had to do with sports. And it was a pretty neat thing to see his room, because, to be honest with you, there was so much in there that probably didn't mean a whole lot to a lot of people. There was a lot that would, but there was a lot in there that wouldn't as well, but it meant so much to him. And he shared story after story about this. This is, my brother and I went to this and got this autograph, or we were here when we got this, or look, think about the way we got this. And so he gave me a couple of items, and that led me to this section where I'm going to talk about the Kells out of this book. Okay, we start right here with the Kells. There's George right there in the middle. This was a guest author for this section, and that's him right there, and George's wife. And so it says, George said this. He said, "Never let yourself get fooled by the same pitcher on the same mound on the same day." He was just a fantastic hitter. And as I was going through this book, I just learned so much. He used to live in this small town in Arkansas, and his dad was a barber. And so his dad also played some baseball, and he was a really good pitcher. Well, there in Swifton, Arkansas, there's a semi-pro team that approached Clyde, who George's dad approached Clyde and said, "We would love to sign you to come play for us in Swifton, Arkansas." And so they said, "We would give you your own barber shop if you would come and do that." And so they moved the whole family to Swifton, Arkansas. And George, literally, when this happened, I'm not exactly sure how old he was when this happened, but he lived there his entire life. Even when, you know, for 40 years, he was a commentator with Al Kaline for the Tigers and stuff. And he still lived in Swifton. Like, he would still come home to Swifton. He never, even through all the majors and all that, he never had a home anywhere but Swifton, Arkansas. And so that's a pretty cool story in itself. But there was so much in here about him. When he was 12 years old and his dad was playing for the semi-pro team, his dad, it says, in the 9th inning of the game against the town from nearby Tuckerman, Clyde told young George to grab his glove and go outside to play second base to finish the game. A semi-pro team, and George is 12. And George's mother got so mad at Clyde and said, "How could you do that? What if a ball was hit straight at his head?" And his dad just looked her straight in the face and said, "Well, he'd catch it, because that's what he does." It says George would have caught it. If they hit the ball to George, he simply catches it and throws the runner out. He's 12 years old. He's playing semi-pro ball with these guys. And right out of high school, right when he graduated high school, there was a team that wanted to sign him. I think it was the Dodgers. Yes, the Dodgers wanted to sign him, and his dad wouldn't let him. His dad said, "No, you have to go to college." And he ended up going to Arkansas State College, and they didn't even have a baseball team. And so he played intramural softball for an entire year while he was waiting there. And then he was only there for 1 year, though. And then he ended up getting signed on to his first professional contract when he was 17. He turned 18 and started working his way up through Class B. And then the Philadelphia Athletics had a working agreement. And at the end of a certain season, they purchased him for $5,000. It's pretty awesome. Purchased him for $5,000. And then he just worked his way through, and that was in 43. He played in the A's final game. And then at the end of the 44 season, he was named to the Major League All-Rookie team. And then he was traded to the Tigers, which is where most people know him from his Detroit years. And so it goes on to tell about, you know, things that he did over time. And, man, it's so awesome. He came to Little Rock and played against the Travelers. The Travelers is a AA team now in Little Rock for the Angels. No, for the Mariners. They were for the Angels at some point. They were for the Cardinals at some point too. But they played against Kell and the Detroit Tigers, and so a lot of people got to see him there. And so that was really awesome. You guys know that he was eventually inducted into the Hall of Fame and became one of the several Hall of Famers from Arkansas. But what a lot of you may not know is that he also had a brother. He had a brother named Everett, and Everett went by Skeeter. Skeeter played a full season in 1952. I think he has a 1952 Bowman. I don't have that card. But he played a full season for the Athletics in 1952. And what's funny is I read in the book that he always bragged to his brother that one season that he played, he had a better fielding percentage. He played second base for the Athletics. George Kell was voted the best third baseman of the 40s by Sporting News. And so he had better fielding percentage. And I have the 8th edition of the I would hold it up, but I would probably fall over, of the Baseball Encyclopedia. I've got it down here and I've got it open. So I looked it up, and it's Skeeter Kell is right there from Swifton, Arkansas. He had a 963 fielding percentage in 1952. And George Kell in 1952, which he got traded that year to Boston, had a fielding percentage of 959. How funny is that? So anyway, that year he got to brag on his Hall of Fame brother that he had a better fielding percentage than him. So that's just a little bit of what this book, I didn't tell you a whole lot about these guys, and probably not a whole lot that you didn't know. But Skeeter ended up, I live in Conway, Arkansas, and Skeeter ended up living in Conway for about 20 years. He passed away before I even got into the hobby, and but he went to the Conway Country Club, which is a few miles from my house, played golf there, and just lived here for 20 years. And George Kell bought, at some point in Swifton, or in Newport, bought a car dealership that is still there today. The George Kell car dealership is still there. I don't know, it's George Kell, whatever model it is, or whatever make. But that was just, I'm starting big with you guys. I've got a lot of cool stories. I've ordered a couple cards and some stuff from this book, and I'm going to share those things with you guys. Arkansas baseball history is really cool. A lot of stuff came through here. It's got some neat history and neat ties to the majors in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And so I'm going to do that with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy that. I did want to show you these cards that David had given me. This one is George Kell. It's signed. He was excited to give that to me. He had gotten this one signed. It is a numbered card. I think it's numbered to 800. But George's signature is right there, which is awesome, of the Detroit Tigers. Love this card. I'm so excited to have it. It takes a whole new meaning when the person who gives it to you passes away, but I'm excited to have it. And he also gave me this. This is an autograph card from the Athletics, and it's Skeeter Kell, and he signed that right there. You could tell he was probably a little advanced in age. It's a little shaky, but excited to have that. I've got an autograph of both of these guys. Really cool. And then at some point I picked up this, I say some point, it was last year, 4.5 George Kell. He's playing for Chicago at this point. This 1956. I love the 56s. Who doesn't? And if you look on the back there, home Swifton, Arkansas. What does it say on here? George has hit over 309 of his 12 seasons in the majors. In 1949, he led the American League in batting, and in 50 was top in hits and doubles. George was the best fielding third sacker in 45, 46, 50, 51, 53, and 55. But he did not have as good a fielding percentage as his brother Skeeter in 1952. Skeeter's only year in the majors. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Going to share some more Arkansas sports history, Arkansas baseball history with you guys, coming from this book, Backroads and Ballplayers. I know that someone, a buddy of mine, said that he ordered this book after he saw my video where Jim had sent this to me, the author, for our shared love of the game. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know some of you like baseball history. I'm going to keep these things coming because it's fun for me. And so I've been meeting some great people and having a good time talking about this stuff. So you guys have a good one. Stay blessed.